What is up, guys? I am So guys, back for another video here. Nothing special today. I already filmed it. Nothing on the 302 today, but I already filmed it. But I'm going to show you guys when I talked about my T5 a little bit, and just you know, like the stuff that I have along with it, and what I'm going to be installing in my truck and everything as well. What else am I going to do today? Crawl underneath the truck, remove probably the cross member bolts, and the stuff, you know, like the speedo cable like attached to the transmission. Might make it to the drive shaft. Man, I'm a weekend warrior. I take like 3 or 4 hours on Saturday and try to get this stuff done, so that's definitely what I'm going to do. Alright, so just a quick run through of everything I have for the T5 and the swap and so on and so forth, with a little bit of information for those of you that are looking for it. Obviously here, T5, Borg-Warner Tremec. It is a world class. Basically that means that there's mesh bearings between the gears and the shaft. You have to run like transmission fluid, I think like Mercon or something. I have the steel bearing retainer, or as I call like input shaft retainer, and it is a little bit stronger than other ones. I've mentioned that before as well. You know, over here is I don't know, I'm going to call it a sending unit or something, and then on the other side over here is obviously the gear for your speedo. There's different colors, refer to different ratios that you have, like for example on your rear axle and so on and so forth, so that your speedometer reads correctly. This, I believe, I hope someone can quote me on this, I don't know, it fits right up into the speedo gear that comes on these trucks, these bump trucks. So I hope that's true. And then here I have an aftermarket, whatever you want to call it, like shifter gear plate here. This is a short shifter. It comes with all kinds. I have some parts down here, some extensions like this one. And this I pretty much got because I want to do as much short shift as possible, because my shifter will roughly be about 10 inches tall, and just kind of, you know, my truck isn't going to be some winning races. Well, maybe, who knows, you know, I got this engine right here. So anyway, so next is obviously the bell housing. I mentioned it before, but these also, you can get these in steel for like, I said $3 to $5 earlier in another video, but I think it's more like $700 to $800. Yes, anyway, you know, make sure you have your clutch fork pivot and so on. And then you want your separation plate. And a little fun fact too, as I move on to the clutch and pressure plate here. So in my 302, which is the one I have, so there's this one, the 88, and then a 70s 302. This obviously comes out of a Mustang. The V6s have different sizes. I think they're larger clutch and pressure plates and stuff. But when I grabbed this, I realized the starter works on my C4 as well as it works on this. I don't know if it was supposed to do that, but it does. But anyway, these T5s do really well off with stock clutch pressure plates and so on and so forth. So I'm told. People have supported that. People do run aftermarket. If you're pumping some serious horsepower, then yeah, obviously, you know, aftermarket. But I was excited to know that these actually take stock components, and they do really well. You know, from street to strip, if you will. And then of course I have my trans mount here. I am going to use the same cross assembly, the mounts for my C4, and I'm going to try to make it work on that. So that bolts right here. But anyway, so I'm told pilot bushing, which goes in the back of your, so basically on the crank side of your engine, you install this. Some people use like steering wheel pullers as like installing it and so on. You can use the socket to make sure it's straight, but it goes, obviously, you install the transmission, it goes on the input shaft. It is supposed to be loose, obviously not terribly loose, but it is not supposed to be firm and like, you know, to install or any restrictions. So there's that. I looked online and they do have pilot bearings. So I don't know. I was told to use pilot bushings from a long time ago. Checked with Luke, actually, the Thunderhead 289 guy, and he says he uses bushings, and he's done at least 1 or 2 videos that I've seen of installing T5. So we have that going on here. Hey, will you come out here and put the park brake on? Just open the door, put your foot in there, and hit the park brake. There you go. All right, it's good. Thank you. I was like, oh yeah. Say what? You're like, I hope he's not trapped under his car. Moving on here, you've got your clutch fork, release bearing. This stuff right here, I got all of this from off a Mustang, and all of it is pretty much new. Somebody installed it on the Mustang, and I mean, even like everything just clean. Sucker's heavier now, but you got your clutch set up here. Looks pretty good. And then of course you got your pressure plate. Again, not used at all hardly. And then you got your flywheel, not flex plate, flywheel. There's a little run through. I'll talk about how I'm actually gonna run the clutch real quick here. I got this, I mentioned earlier, it is it's called a clutch quadrant, and it is, I don't know if you can actually see it, you can see it's like a 3-tier or 3-step. And this right here I plan on bolting onto my clutch pedal, which is a stock. Side note, 66 pedals. Clutch pedal and brake pedal installed just fine on a 1968, I don't know how long those were in there, pedal assembly, if you will. So it mounts right up, which is pretty cool. So anyway, I'm using that. We got this right here. There's different brands that people really swear by. I forget already what this one is, but this is what you would find stock for the Fox Body Mustangs. I assume the same general. You can use stock in regards to if you're installing on a Chevy or just anything. But I'm using the stock here, but I have this. You can see that really well. So this goes on the firewall side, so it actually connects to this right here. And this basically allows me to just a lot more adjustment on when I'm installing my cable clutch setup here. So that's pretty cool. I have that, and then of course the boot. I have another quadrant for some reason. Some bolts to install that. Those extensions I talked about, and so on. So there is always another option as well. I'm told it's obviously, if you know anything about your hydraulic clutch setup, I think it's better in a lot of ways, but some people say it's less of a feel. You don't feel the clutch as much, and it is less adjustable. But I do have this just in case. So, and the good thing is that when I install this, make the hole for that in my firewall, if I have to, this isn't going to be anything, you know, it's not going to, the hole's not going to be too big for this. So I have lots of options here, which is great. So there you go, guys. And I cannot wait to get this installed. Anyway, so yeah, that's pretty much the rundown. Nothing really to learn here. If you guys want to know more about just general manual install and so on and so forth, Craig909 actually just came out with a video about that. So he just kind of ran through like TKO and so on and so forth, the T5s, and so there's that. And then of course there's Thunderhead 289, who's done quite a few installation videos. I think Craig909 did one of his, I believe he said TKO or T3, whatever. You can watch his video. And if you guys want to know more and so on, there's also tons of videos out there. But this is just a rundown of what I'm doing on my truck. So there you go.